welcome to Tech Savvy. My name's Leigh Newman, and we have these episodes of Tech Savvy every so often to explain what's going on at West Georgia Tech. And believe me, there's so much going on right now. It's really exciting. But the bottom line is we're making a difference in a lot of people's lives. So we like to brag about our programs and our faculty and our services, and this is a really good opportunity. So we appreciate you joining us today. And today's special guest star is Lewis Shepard. We have a wonderful program of criminal justice on our campus, and it really is. I mean, I know some about it, but I'm gonna get Mr. Shepard to tell us all about it today, because it covers a lot of different and very important information, and it's very hands-on training, and to me that's the best way to learn. So welcome.
Thank you
for being here today, and I sure do appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. But this is a great opportunity for you to be able to tell our viewers about your program. So I always like to ask, give me your elevator speech. Like, group me on an elevator. What would you say about the criminal justice program?
First of all, I'll say that criminal justice is what everybody should get into, because regardless of what you do, you're going to deal with law enforcement, every aspect of it, regardless of what side of the law enforcement that you're on.
Like the bad side versus the good side?
It's not to be on the bad side. What prevents you from getting on the bad side? Okay. People have a misconception of police officers and how they do their job. They just don't understand it. So sometimes I get a student that's really, I say, raw to criminal justice, and when they get into class, they understand why officers do what they do, why the marshals do what they do, why the sheriff department do what they do. Having a broader perspective, they'll learn to understand this.
Do you think it'll help? I mean, once a student gets in there and gets a better understanding of the processes and what's available out there, do you think that helps with them seeing the importance of the difference between right and wrong?
Most definitely. And what I like about them getting into the classroom, I can almost try to eliminate the whole CSI thing, to let them know that there's some documentation that officers have to make sure that they have in order to make the process work, in order to get a proper conviction, in order to stay out of trouble. Mm-hmm. The classroom is an excellent place to learn this. Then you can venture out into the real world, get hired by a department, and there's some great departments out there. LaGrange have a great department. There's other great departments out there that would appreciate an educated or well-educated prospective employee. Mm-hmm.
Well, let's start at the very beginning. Say I'm not real sure what I want to do, but I know that I like to watch CSI, and I really loved Miami Vice, and it's that day. But I just don't know if, I mean, it's always fascinated me. Tell me what I need, something about my characteristics. What do you look for in a good potential student?
I want to know this is what you want to do. I don't want the interview speech, protect and serve. What I want to hear is, okay, you're interested in this. So what I suggest is that you either start out with introduction to criminal justice, and that's exactly what it is, an introduction to criminal justice. Or if you just want to get something, we have certificates, criminal justice fundamental. You can get that in one semester, which is principles of law enforcement, corrections, and introduction to criminal justice. And you'll get a certificate in fundamentals of criminal justice. After you do that, you have an understanding of what it is to be involved in the criminal justice profession. And you really understand the avenues that you can take. It's not just stagnated towards law enforcement. The marshals is an excellent different side of law enforcement, 911, DFACs, pathways. We have, if I look at my range of students, I have them employed everywhere in every aspect that has to deal with the justice system, the courthouse.
So when you say, all right, so you're saying that if I completed a program, a certificate, a diploma, a degree, or whatever, in criminal justice, I could go not only to the police department or the sheriff's department, but parole officers?
Okay. Now, you said parole. Parole officers sometimes are, in the most part, statewide or federally, and they want 4-year graduates.
College degrees.
But we have something for that. We have great articulation agreements with major universities. especially University of West Georgia and Columbus State University, we have a full degree transfer, meaning that once you graduate from us, based on that current curriculum, you will go there with your 2-year degree and already a junior.
So you get all that taken care of, all the English and
the English, the maths, and
sciences, lots of science involved.
Yes, lots of sciences, and approximately about 5 to 6 criminal justice courses offered at the school. They'll accept it all. But let's say you don't want to go to Columbus State, unfortunately, or you don't want to go to University of West Georgia. We have articulations agreement with Troy University, Mercer, Reinhardt University, which would accept a large amount of your credits from us, since we sat down at the table and talked to them, from when I'm talking about West Georgia Tech, and they will accept that. That's the avenue that you want to take as well. Also, this is upcoming. I got a meeting coming up with Georgia State. Oh. And hopefully they might shed some light on some things. We might have something open up, and this happens in September.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So we've got all kinds of, I mean, I just see it's such a good opportunity for a student to get started in something. They won't have the expense of living in a dorm or living out. They can stay at home. Do you have any classes in this program that are online?
Matter of fact, our whole program can be taken online. You can get everything online. Matter of fact, you can graduate from your living room. We have excellent online instructors. Our online faculty and our online staff will guide you any way possible. And as I talk to the students that take the seated classrooms, I said, anything you want to do, if you want to do it online and you're not sure about it, you could come sit with me. I'll walk you through the process and basically tutor you through the process so you have a smooth transition between seated classroom and online classroom. So there's really no excuse not to get it done.
But there's a lot of hands-on activities, aren't there?
Yeah, and it's your choice. There's some hands-on activity in certain courses. That's what you get the benefits of doing things at your leisure online, but you also get the benefits of hands-on knowledge in the classroom. Some of our courses, like forensics, I teach forensic science, and we do everything from blood typing to blood splatter, trace evidence, and we have a new Milo fact. It's like what y'all might think is a fact simulator, weapon simulator system. Is Milo, and is excellent. So we could do interactive shoot or don't shoot training with that system. And for those of y'all that know about these systems, it's a non-tethered system, meaning that you could take your firearm and you can move around and you're not attached to anything. And it's beautiful. It's excellent. I think that I'd like to invite some of the departments down to take a look at this.
That would be great. That would be good. I look forward to using it also.
I'll try to get y'all up there. As soon as we have some time, I want the faculty to come see what we're doing. So it's a lot of things that we do, and I use my personal experience in law enforcement to.
So you have had time working in law
yes,
enforcement. What did you do?
I was an investigator, a detective more or less, right here in LaGrange, at LaGrange Police Department.
Great. So you've got first-hand experience.
First-hand experience, and working with a great department like LaGrange Police Department that know they're going to train you well. So in fact, I have about 5 to 6 students that work at LaGrange Police Department, and
so they're presently working are in class.
They're presently working. They graduated.
Oh, they've already graduated.
Yes, got the job presently working. They're doing a great job there as well. So I think there's a department here in Troup County. I think I have someone working there.
Excellent, excellent. Well, it sounds like to me, I guess probably what our viewers would be most interested in is probably the meat and potato part of the programs. You say you start off with an introductory class,
right?
And that's giving you a general outline.
Right, the basics. These are like your lower level classes. I say lower level meaning like introduction to criminal justice, principles of law enforcement, and corrections. These are the basic tools. This is one of the certificates that we offer too. But after that, you get into stuff like criminal law, constitutional law, criminal procedures, juvenile justice. And those are courses, and probation and parole. And those are courses that require a little bit more of yourself. You have to apply yourself there. We want to make sure you get the best of everything. So it's not a cakewalk. You want to learn something, and you will learn something when you leave us.
Well, I mean, it's such an essential career. in the protection of the citizens, and you've got to know right from wrong.
Yes,
you've
ma'am.
got to know the rules, and then I guess you have to know also why people don't know the difference or don't behave. I mean, it's all behavioral type
Right, and that's
stuff.
where criminology comes into effect. We teach criminology as well. It's like a behavioral study. You want to know, we want to look at how, and we want to look at it from two perspectives, a criminologist perspective and a criminalist perspective. One of us
What's the difference?
One wants to find out what happened, the other one wants to find out why it happened. So when you combine those two, it makes for a great investigator to know what happened and to understand why something happened. People commit crimes, I understand that, but they commit them for a reason. There's something behind it. And we can figure out what's behind it. Maybe we could do some preventive and some proactive policing and don't have to worry about the reactive side.
That's impressive. That's good to know. Okay, so when you said criminologist versus
Criminalists.
criminalist.
Yes.
And so, do you go into those separately areas?
In criminology, yes. And in criminology and probably, I say something like criminal law and criminal procedures is identified, and more so in criminology. But everybody wants to know, and it comes up in average discussion with the students. They want to have an understanding, and every student has a story to tell. And they get the opportunity to explain, and we have opportunity as faculty and staff to address these issues. And sometimes I might bring in somebody from the outside, a guest from the police department, the sheriff department, probation, someone from the attorney's office to explain further in depth of what it is. I don't want to just rely on my own experience. We have some people out there that's still working hard in their field, right, every day.
Well, I'm excited about this conversation. I'm learning a lot from you. Let's take a little break and then come back and let's go into more depth of this program.
Okay, fine.
All right.
Appreciate it.
See you back in a minute. Welcome back to Tech Savvy. We have Lewis Shepard here today with the criminal justice program and all the options that are available through our criminal justice program, and he has lots of exciting equipment and crime scene setups, and it's a really impressive program that we have on our LaGrange campus. Lewis, I think that our viewers would be very interested in some specifics, some details, some examples of your students, what they go through from the beginning, how they end up, what they're doing now, just some details that I think people want to imagine themselves in your class. What will they learn? What will happen to them?
First of all, we have a very diverse group of students. I have ages ranging from 18 to 56, and they all have a different mindset that comes through there. What I like is when I see someone come from, I have a student that came from adult lit, gathered her GID and came on to criminal justice, had a hard time because she's an older student, and she went through the process, and there's a lot of bickering from me. They say I'm pretty hard, but after that I compare her to the younger students, the traditional college students, and the work ethics is different.
Yeah, they were brought up differently.
They're brought up different, and that's why I try to compare the younger students to the older students. If they combine the work ethics, they can get a lot of things done, and that way it will fill their expectations of what the program is all about. Right. So when they come in my program, they more or less green to the criminal justice system. I have to watch the CSI and the TV shows out their system because they don't understand that everything that happens requires paperwork. I have to get them back into the mindset of doing paperwork, research papers, understanding what the system is, and doing some more research. So once they get in my class, they realize that, okay, this is for real, and it's time to get started. So I don't want to waste their time. So I get down to what's in the textbooks, my knowledge of what they go through, and they bring me stories themselves, from traffic citations to traffic violations to being stopped on the side of the road to courtroom situations. And they get an opportunity in the first few semesters to hash this out in their head of what they did wrong and what they could have done to prevent this. It's all covered in the program. Compliance is one thing. Understanding of the law is another thing. Understanding your constitutional rights is paramount to me in criminal justice education.
That should be something everybody has studied.
We take it for granted what your constitutional rights are. Even as law enforcement officers, sometimes we're not sure. There's a blurred line between constitutional rights and what you're doing, but once you educate yourself, you should know what they are. It makes things a lot smoother. And then you get into something like criminal procedures, where you have a great vantage point in looking at courtroom situations and know how those work on your behalf. Like I said, a degree in criminal justice will take you anywhere you want to go. I had not realized how much is connected to the badge or to just the criminal justice system until I became an officer myself. I dealt with pathways, like I told you before, defects, and I have students at those locations as well. The sheriff department, the relationship between the sheriff department, the jail, and the police department, the city and the county, they need to know how these things work. I think a lot of times they truly amazed at what the marshals have to do in their job. So when they get in there, now they want to learn more. Now they want to be probation, parole officer, or maybe just a jailer. We have a lot of jailers. We have a lot of our former students work at the pathway, at the transition center, excuse me, and they love their job. And what I like is that when I have them come back to me, and they either thank me for being hard, or they recall something that they learned in class and had to use it on their job, as far as a skill, a tactic, an understanding of what goes on, and they realize that they did know more than they thought they knew once they graduated. And I really appreciate that. I like when they call me. And,
well, you've got the foundation. You're laying the foundation, because a vast majority of your program is problem solving.
Yes.
And you're giving them the tools to solve problems that they confront when they're out in the real world. Problem
solving, critical thinking, you can't get enough of it. If police officers and people that work in that field, they can't grasp critical thinking and problem solving, it might make their job difficult. So I think educating yourself, even seasoned officers need to make sure that they further their education. There's new things change every day. I understand that there's every officer goes through training, and they continue their training as far as their law enforcement career is concerned.
Continuing education.
Right, but they do need to get a I'll say college education, because the constitutional law and criminal procedures is not covered as well in the academy as it is in the classroom.
Right.
And no matter how many hours you have of these this training given by
the system,
you still need to have some education behind it. And nothing is more positive than having a department filled with educated officers.
Well, I mean, if they know the reason why, it makes dealing with all the unknowns, you know, a lot easier to deal with, I would think. So if you get the basics, you can build on those.
Right. I have students come to me and say, well, my mother or my father asked this question. So they're taking information from the classroom, filtering it back to their parents, and the parents are becoming more educated. I've had a mother come through, and then later on a daughter come through my program.
That says a lot right there.
Right, and I had some family members of some officers I know come through the classroom.
That says
so
a lot.
I feel good that they're learning something. I feel good that this is something they think they could take back. And like I said, I get more joy out of seeing my graduates graduate, go out into the community, and get jobs. There's a lot of jobs out there in this field. And the only thing stopping them is their education and filling out the documentation.
It didn't happen if it wasn't documented.
No, and that was a saying that we had. If you didn't write it down, it probably didn't happen.
It didn't happen, or it didn't happen the way you remembered it happening unless you wrote it down.
That's what we do in report writing. We teach that course as well.
Right.
If you didn't write it down, it didn't happen.
Well, I guess the research, the procedures, the evidence, all these things you have to be able to observe them. I call it digest them and then put it down on paper, right? Is there there's a process in there?
There's a process, but nothing helps you more than experience and time. I picked up an old pamphlet of mine where I just had some numbers written down, and from those numbers and dates I can recall everything that happened that day or for that particular incident. So all I ask the students to do now is just remember or try to recall basic things, keep it in chronological order for documentation purposes. And they also need to know how to articulate what happened as well.
Verbal communication?
Right. Not only do officers and people in law enforcement have to sit in the courtroom and explain things to the jury or the courtroom or to the judge, they also need to explain it to other officers how this happened. And if they can't articulate what happened, it doesn't go over well. So we go through that in the course too with oral presentations.
So verbal communication, written communication, problem solving skills, critical thinking skills. I mean, it sounds like to me, and of course you do the work ethics training anyway as part of the system.
As well as ability to do research. There's something that, like in constitutional law, criminal law, and criminal procedures, there's case laws that go on for days about everything that already occurred. You need to know how to research case law to basically help solidify your argument for whatever stand you take.
Well, it sounds like to me, just of course, my father's a Superior Court judge, you know, so he has an attorney. He was an attorney also. Well, he is now. But if you are even possibly interested in going into the legal field, this would be a good basic program to start off with.
I think so. At one time when I was in undergrad, I asked somebody about law school, and I said, what should I study in college? First of all, he said English.
Right.
Because you got to learn how to interpret what's written down in documentation. Then he said criminal justice. But I noticed that some of the best attorneys were police officers. They pick a side. So I like for you to know what you're doing. That's just like my interns and externs. I like them to go through the coursework. That comes last, to take the course itself and then come back and do your intern and extern. So when you go to these locations, you have a basic knowledge of what to expect when you're there. So you won't go in there just there.
Like what's happening.
Right. You'll go there knowing that these things should happen. So when they ask you a question about some type of policy or procedures or how you should handle something, you should have a basic understanding of how that works.
Right.
And make their job a little easier. And that's the heart of getting hired, is once you do your intern or your extern at a location, you learn to familiarize yourself with that location. They know they know your work ethics, and they might see you as someone working with them in the future.
When you show that you add value to their organization,
Right.
then they're going to want you back as fast as they can get you back. And the fact that they wouldn't have to train you additional, they know your level of skill, so they know that part they don't have to worry about that part.
Prime example, and I'm going to say his name. I know he don't want me to do this, but one of my students, Jonathan Livingston, John Livingston, he interned at drug court, and he later got hired at drug court. And now he's doing great things at drug court.
Good.
Like I said, he has aspirations. This is someone that he came through the program with taking developmental math at one time. Sorry, John. But he worked his way through that, and he was like, he's what I can call a prize student of mine.
I call them poster children.
Yeah, he represented the school well. We 2 years in a row, I think we have silver in the state skill competition.
Excellent.
Silver medal.
Right.
We're still fighting to get a gold. I think we was robbed.
We got plenty of time to work on that.
I think we was robbed.
I know.
But
I know.
but I think we're gonna make sure. I'm not gonna stop until we get gold.
Let's keep working on
state
it.
skill competition.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. I can tell.
Yeah.
I can tell. Well, we're out of time.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Will you come back and
Yes.
visit? And I think we need to have some of your students come in and tell us firsthand experience. Maybe your graduates or somebody that's in your class that would like.
Probably a graduate, someone that I no longer pick on. Probably.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I want to hear it from all steps, all stages. But you've been a very good guest today, and you've told us a whole lot of good stuff. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure our viewers have. And I do hope you'll come back and visit with us.
No problem.
And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
That concludes this episode of Tech Savvy. If you have any questions or want to find out anything more about this, please contact Mr. Shepard at the college. And our website is www.westgatech.edu. So we look forward to seeing you at our next episode, or please come by and visit us anytime at the campus.
Why United Way? Because in some way, everyone in our community is touched by your donation to United Way of West Georgia. Yes, everyone. United Way helps 25 local agencies touch thousands of lives, even yours. To cause so many good things to happen, these organizations must have volunteers. Fortunately, more than 2,300 local volunteers are now giving time to the 25 local organizations that United Way of West Georgia helps support. Yes, more than 2,300 volunteers. But more are needed. Please volunteer your time, as well as your financial support. You'll be astonished at what you'll receive in return.